I just realized that I don't, as I usually do, have the channels open to monitor. So let me see. Let me make sure that we're actually live. Yes, I can see ourselves live on Twitch. And always takes me a second to check out YouTube.
It's always helpful to have
Sometimes the chat beats me to it.
the chat up.
Okay, yes, it does look like we are live. So, let me have a look at the chat. Yeah, so Raneth Cord and Little Lala is here. State of Decay is, of course, here. That is our moderator. And La Coalición. So La Coalición and Raneth Cord are some of our most loyal watchers, though this is an unusual time for us to be doing a stream. So thank you guys for coming here, being all punctual at a day and time that is very unusual for us. Airy Twitch is here.
How do you guys...
Oh, go ahead.
What time do you guys usually stream? Sorry?
About 6
Is it
hours
like
from
5
now.
p.m. your time?
It's like 2 p.m. our time is our usual time. And so for folks who don't know, we're doing this very early in the morning for us because it is actually late in the afternoon for our two guests. You got Ian Farnan and Steve Obewi over there. They are both from Liverpool, and that's Greenwich Mean Time. They're at actual time. The rest of us are just a little bit off. And so, according to actual time, it's early. It's early in the evening, I think. Is that about?
I mean,
when
I've
it
been to
is?
Greenwich. I thought people there were nice.
I'm sure they are. I've never been, but yeah, it's like 5 p.m. here now, or about to be anyway.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I mean,
you're right
it's
at
a
the end
End
of
of the
your
leg
workday.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be missing a planning meeting for the next hour, which is great. Like, thank you so much, actually, for the time zone difference and getting me out of the
the way
7th
you
hour
delayed.
of planning that I've been doing this week.
Makes so much sense now.
So yeah, I just left a dozen donuts in the room with the other planners so that I would be there with them in spirit. Oh, Magic Man is pointing out that, of course, my voice is echoing through Joe's microphone. I did some experimentation to try to reduce that. This is about as good as it's going to get. So
Yeah.
I'm going to try to keep my volume levels low, which will also reduce the echoing. Let me know if this is a tolerable level for my voice, and I will try to maintain it, though, as I get excited about Update 36 and whatever goes on Joe's screen, that might be difficult to control. So yeah, Magic Man, let me know if it still sounds like a problem. If I need to get more ASMR about it,
What have I
I can
done?
do that too. There'll be a lot less echoing, but you might get uncomfortable in the areas. So, Airy Twitch points out that she has been... I forgot your gender. Seriously, I ask you your gender every time you're on your Airy Twitch, and I feel really guilty. They are saying they're loving your work, WUSHU.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice.
Means so
Yeah,
much.
honestly, everyone like on our team is just like so dedicated to this and like the improvements and everything. So it's so nice to hear stuff like that.
Okay, Airy is female, so that's why I thought that. Okay, I'm not insane. Okay, cool. So yeah, I just have.
I mean, it could also be that they just like giving you crap because you always feel so guilty about it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
do
how
feel
I
guilty about
operate.
it. I really just hate making bad assumptions about people. So okay, Aaron Walsh says, "Morning, guys," and wants to know, and we're not doing the real. Actually, you know what? Aaron Walsh, I'm going to keep your question. I'm going to ask this. I'm going to save this up and potentially ask this later, just because I don't know. It might be interesting. Because update 36 is a fairly small update. I think we'll get through a lot of the discussion before the entire stream is over, and so we should save up awesome questions to answer later on. Oh, Galactic Translate says I'm always tolerable. Thank you, Galactic Translate.
That's so nice.
Let's see here. X-use item when interacting with survivors mostly isn't working. Is it? Cogs, I'm not sure. Can you explain the bug that you're raising just in a little bit more detail? I'm not sure I'm understanding it. Okay, Tank is also pointing out that I've got a
I'm
side
guessing
effect.
that
Yeah.
I'm guessing he means like when you're trading inventory, because Cogs uses a lot of followers, which most of us don't.
Oh, gotcha. You like using an item. Oh, having a follower use an item isn't working
Or using an item while you have that.
while you have
menu
that up.
open.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I think. That is interesting. Yeah. So again, sorry to anyone about the audio problem with me sounding more echoey than everyone else. we need to get some sound baffling in this room so that my voice bouncing off the wall doesn't get into Joe's mic, which is the problem that happens. Joe's got a less directional mic than my mic, and so my mic picks up both my voice
Or
and
we could
Joe's
just
voice.
turn off my mic and just tell me to shut up for the rest
Oh,
of
that's
the stream.
true. We could just not listen to Joe.
It's
I mean,
fine.
look. There.
I'm just...
Blessed silence. It's great.
Oh wow, that's so good.
Oh my god, your voice came through so
My
smooth.
ears, hold it down.
Oh,
So yeah, so this is how I can sound good. It's just by silencing Joe, but that just doesn't make me happy. So I'm gonna turn it back.
Oh,
All right, I sound a little worse, but you know what? We can hear Joe at all, which I think is a benefit.
I mean,
so
it's fine. It's fine.
Tank says we should cuddle up and share a mic. Actually, he said we should share a mice, but I'm pretty sure that he meant mic.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean,
If you have too many mice, though, I am happy to share.
whenever you
share.
like, Tank might be watching on his phone, and so like, you know, it'll be like, I want to type mic here, M-I-C, and then it'll just randomly add an E. Autocorrect sucks. Where is my...
oh, I was gonna say really quick. You know, the most average Joe in the chat asked for ways to potentially make the game even harder.
Yes.
We might have like something around that later. Might be
knows?
worth bringing back up.
you never know.
Oh, I just so Uriah Salfa, I just copied and pasted your question so we could use it later, and the moderator had also done that at exactly the same time. So we definitely want to answer your question. We'll just do it a
Nice.
little bit later in the actual stream. Which actually, you know what? It's 9 o'clock. We should get started with the actual proper stream. So, is everybody ready? Ian, Steve,
Yep, ready to go.
Let's go.
Joe, you ready to go?
Always.
All right. Well then, we will get started. Hello, survivors. I am your host, Jeffrey Card, and welcome to the State of Decay 2 stream. It's been a while since we've done one of these. We've started slowing down our cadence, and I've forgotten how to do everything. So, you know, you might get a few audio glitches from me. You might hear me say my intro in a completely different way from usual, but it's really lovely to see you again. We're happy to be back, and the reason we're back is because there is a new update out for State of Decay 2. It's one of our smaller ones, but it's got some really great, long-asked-for quality of life updates that we are excited to show to you all. By we, of course, to start, I mean me and Joe Swarner, your other intrepid host. Joe, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm just sitting here enjoying life on a couch playing State of Decay.
Yeah, so he is actually playing the game right now, so whenever you see gameplay, that is going to be Joe playing the game. But Joe and I contributed very little, if anything at all, to Update 36, and so we are not really the ones that you want to talk to. Who you want to talk to is our friends from WUSHU Studios. This is Steve and Ian. Hey, you two.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Nice to be here.
Let's get started by meeting Steve. So, Steve Obewi, tell us about yourself. Tell us what you do.
Well, hello, my name is Stephen O'Berry. You can call me Steve. I'm a technical games designer for WUSHU Studios, and yeah, I'm one of the people responsible for a lot of the Cobalt stuff. So if you have any Cobalt questions, I'm your guy. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, Ian, next to him, can you tell us a little bit about what you do on the team?
Hello, yeah, so I'm Ian. I'm also a technical designer at WUSHU. I've been on Snowball since the beginning of Curveball, so I've since moved off of Curveball specifically onto something we'll get into a bit later. But yeah, anything else Curveball related as well, I can try and help answer where possible.
So yeah, so send us your curveball related questions and or just anything to do with WUSHU's recent work, and we will try to funnel as many questions as we can to these folks. But we're going to start out by jumping into gameplay, and Joe is here to show us a few of the new improvements that are in Update 36. So where do we want to start, Joe?
I've got bloaters right here.
Oh, okay. So actually, Ian and Steve, you want to tell us a little bit about what has changed with bloaters in Update 36?
Do you want to take it? Shall I take it?
Yeah, I don't know which
yeah,
of you.
so I mean, I mean, there's been a few bloater improvements. Like I think we did like some adjustments of the VFX, and the damage of the gas bursts are they're better and like closer matched to each other. I think previously they were kind of a little out of sync, in terms of like the spatial, the physical space around them, what you'd expect, when you get damaged and walk into a gas cloud. I think it could start a little earlier than you'd like expect.
So yeah, that,
So yeah, we put some work in around matching that closer to the expectation and things like that.
so basically there were cases where a player would be walking around the edge of the cloud and they would feel like, I'm standing in a safe place. But actually they would be just inside the bubble where you do get damaged, you do get affected by the cloud. You can see here, Joe is skirting the edge, and he's in a place where you would kind of expect previously to get infected, to get hurt by that gas cloud. But now it's not having an effect, because you have to really be in the cloud in order for it to hurt you. Is that basically what's going on?
Yeah, so you need to be more obviously inside it, you know, with the intent of being poisoned essentially, or infected.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah, and then like also around that, like just to kind of compensate for that, you now need to get a little bit closer, just you know, before it kind of triggers that explosion.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's just a bit more fairer in terms of, and you know, better matches the expectation I think for the players.
Yeah, when it comes to things like this, where it's like the visual is very muddy. I think it's usually a good rule of thumb to err on the side of favoring the player. If the player believes honestly in their heart that they did not touch the cloud, us hitting them with the damage always feels unfair. It can be very frustrating.
Right.
So yeah, well done improving on our on our version of this. It looks, yeah, that actually does look a lot fairer. That, like, I'm used to just the idea of bloaters just always feeling like a little cheap, and that actually looks pretty darn fair. So so nice work over there.
Yeah. I think like a few of the things that we worked on around this, like we kind of identified as like, oh, you know what, this would be like a really quick thing that we can just resolve that would get a lot of you know, traction and like value from. So yeah, there's a few things like that I think in the update.
So I've got a question for you both, or whoever can answer it. Does that improvement for the bloater cloud, does that transfer over to like the Juggernaut Slam, like the area of effect of that, or the Screamer Spit?
Don't know for sure. Do you know,
I'm
Steve?
honestly not too sure myself,
Okay.
but I think it might do, to be honest.
Okay.
Since they share the same script, I believe.
Yeah, they should be very similar, if not exactly the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah, because I mean, I know that the other two, they don't infect cars the way that a bloater cloud does, and so
Yeah, true.
Clearly they're different in some ways, but I'm not sure which ways and which ways they're not.
Yeah, that's another thing as well. Like if anyone from our team is listening and watching, feel free to just send us a DM and let us know if you know.
Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you a
That's
curveball question.
Yeah, yeah.
You're
You did
I saw what you did there.
That has,
Throw us a
that
curveball.
has a, yeah, that means two things. All right, so the next thing we got to go out and do is, so there have been some improvements to looting. So if I go to these empty plague hearts that I don't like emptying out, or these dead plague hearts that I don't like emptying out, is that one of those containers that would do this thing, or do I need to specifically go to like a looting place?
Steve, do you know if I believe it's all containers.
Yeah, I believe
I
it's all
just kinda
containers.
defer to Steve.
I also know it also affects playgers as well. So you can go to a dead player and just click loot all, and it still loots everything.
Yeah.
Oh
So-
my, that you should
Yeah.
be a very happy camper.
So yeah, if you need to like take stuff and leave, you can easily do that now, which
You
is
know,
always handy.
I had not been thinking of that benefit of it. That yeah, a lot of the time, like one of the reasons why you would leave a bunch of plague hearts just sort of unlooted is because each time you defeat a plague heart, if you're playing in a lethal zone, the next thing you need to do is get the crap out
Yeah.
of there, and you don't have time to
Because we
collect the
don't
loot.
kill the zombies.
But now with one of the improvements,
Yeah.
it's a little quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Very well played.
Yeah, the amount of times like I'd kind of like just panic trying to get everything and just bail out of there, but it's just it's so much easier, just one press button. Assuming you've got the space, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's
But
you
even
have
if
to
you
hold
don't
down the
get the
button
space,
first.
you guys added something that I really, really appreciate.
Okay, so let's have a look.
Yeah, if you do take all.
So I can do a
Hold it.
take all right here, but I don't have enough
Yes.
space. But you know what I don't have to do? I can just drop it on the ground.
Oh yes.
Oh
Even
my
better.
God.
I honestly, it used to kill me. You know when you didn't you wanted that physically gone in the world, but you just couldn't loot the last bottle of painkillers right there, and it's just
Yeah.
lurking in the world.
Yeah.
It used to upset me. It upset me so much.
Yeah. And it's just one of those little things that, after a couple hundred hours or however many hours you may have put in. I won't say exactly how many for me. Like it's just one of those things that eventually just starts to wear on you, And you guys solved it. Thank you.
So to summarize,
Yeah,
what we
you
just
kind of
saw,
just get used to it. No, sorry, yeah, I was just going with Joe, yeah.
Our signal is crossing the Atlantic and the entire United States, and so it's easy for us to start talking at the same time as each other. But I was just going to say, to summarize, so if it went by fairly quickly, Joe was able to get in there, take multiple things at the same time out of that play cart by holding the take all button, which is great. But then one thing was left because he didn't have enough room in his inventory, and so he had another new advantage, which he could hit the drop button, and so he emptied the thing from the container directly onto the ground, and then the play cart was able to dissolve. Which it's weird. Like, I don't even want the stuff in the play cart a lot of the time. I just want its dead body gone. I want to have felt the final victory. And I can't until I get enough inventory space. And now I can just make a pile of crap on the ground and make the original pile of crap go away, which is great.
The little things. Like, yes, yeah.
Honestly, it counts a lot.
Totally. So we've gone over the bloater improvements, taking all, dropping items. We should go to one of your outposts with that rucksack at some point, Joe.
Get one right now.
Probably the biggest new change to the UI. We got an expanded menu. Let's see, do some new stuff.
I think this is my favorite change in this. It's one of those things, like I always felt like compelled as a player, when you've got a rucksack and you're already in the middle of a journey and you just loot one.
Oh.
I'm like, I should take this back because I know I'm gonna run into more. And I'm gonna want it.
Something is terribly wrong.
Yeah, and this has actually been one of the longest standing requests from players because it was kind of a controversial decision that the original team made early on, which was to basically say that you have to go home in order to deposit a rucksack. And the motivation was just there was some worry that players that if players didn't have something requiring them to go home, they would literally never go home, and they wouldn't be able to sort of feel the impact of a lot of the choices. Like, you can build your facilities from far away using the menu, and you would build all this stuff and enhance your base, but you would never really get to enjoy it, or just enjoy that sense of, like, look at all these people that I'm saving. And so there was a thought that it would feel good to ultimately to give the player reasons to come home, and that was a very kind of a ham-fisted solution, but it worked. Players did definitely go home. But no, I think it's interesting to kind of go in there and say, okay, we made that assumption early on, but were we even right? Do players need that? Is the game more fun if you have to go home with rucksacks and then enjoy your base, or is the trade-off not great? Well, so now we're kind of doing a live experience. So audience, let us know.
Bad news, Bears. I think I hit the bug.
Yo, I just realized, so there is a known issue right now where if you drop something from the play cart, you can lock up the looting system right now.
Is that the whole thing?
I think that's the
I believe
root
it's
cause of the
currently
issue.
for plague cards and maybe.
So the thing that I was most
spawn.
excited about is the thing that caused this to happen. All right, we'll see if
No.
leaving my community and going back in.
So
fixes it.
what was the problem you were running into there, Joe? I couldn't quite tell.
I couldn't
what was
loot
going on.
anything.
Oh, like you could open loot containers, but you couldn't get anything out of them?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, that does seem like something that
Hard
should
to
be a
show off.
priority fix, I
Hard to
guess.
show off the looting if I can't loot anything. Sorry, I did not know about the
No, I literally just discovered that as well myself. And
There we go. That fixed it.
Seen,
So
yeah.
you don't have to relaunch the game. You just have to go back to the main menu, which is an annoyance. However, not
Yeah, I think we're aware of that at least.
Yeah.
not a game killer yet.
Okay, cool. Well,
right.
actually, it's kind of nice to run into stuff like that on the stream. The audience can see that we've seen it, and that we can acknowledge it, and this kind of thing is always a work in progress, and it's hard to get everything exactly right, and to realize everything you need to test. It's like, oh yeah, the drop feature works. That's just fine, and then not realizing there's like another thing you have to go and do to find the bug that's going to happen.
Yeah, there's always layers of context around recreating it. Yeah.
So.
But it's only from a play card, huh?
Yeah, it only works on play cards for some weird reason.
Okay.
Containers seem to be fine.
That's so yeah.
Maybe there's
so
something about maybe it's something about like destroying the container. I don't know.
I think it's I could be wrong, but I believe that it's dropping an item from any kind of container, or not any container, but at least a trunk, and maybe a supply drop. Yeah, I think it's quite selective over the container types right now that it'll affect, but yeah, it's quickly resolvable.
Oh no,
at
this is
least
the wrong
for-
kind of outpost. I'm so sorry.
Oh, so this. Oh, right.
It's
use
level
outpost.
2.
Because this is a
It's
this
not
is
a
a
level
this
up-
is
level up
a
outpost.
I use it's a safe house.
Okay, so Joe was
But you
attempting
can't upgrade
to
those.
deposit a rucksack at an outpost, but it has to be a leveled up outpost, which means it has to be like a resource outpost, one of the outposts that can be leveled up.
Or your landmark outposts.
Or your landmark outpost. Okay, yeah. So, but a regular old beds outpost was not going to do it. So.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love this change so much, honestly. Like,
Yeah, it's
the
really
amount
good.
of times I would just feel pressure to go back because I don't want to miss out on loot. But just having them extra safe houses around now that you can just quickly nip over to and deposit things in, it just adds so much more for me personally.
So I was getting some complaints about my audio. I have tried to raise it. I hope that I can be heard a little bit better. I'm also speaking a little bit louder. I've been paranoid about the echo effect, and so I kind of reduced my volume and stuff. But hopefully the echoes are a little bit better than the quietness. We're still figuring out this room. There's a lot of this room. The room the studio that we're using here is kind of half finished, and so there's certain things that are difficult to get right. So apologies if the audio has been a little bit weird. I will do my best to find ways to improve this. Luckily, we've got more time between streams these days, and we've got some time to fix technical issues in between. So we'll see what we can do. But if this is an annoying stream to listen to, I apologize. It's my fault for not getting this place fully up and running yet. Okay, so we do have a.
I mean, Jeffrey, it's
What?
not like you're working on anything else other than this room, right?
Yeah, I know. It's not like I got another very stressful
Good lord.
job. So there's a question here. We've gotten this question before, but I really want to share it because it feels like this feels like it comes from one of your countrymen. This is Ariadne in it. Who says, can you make night less dark and the torch a bit brighter? It's really hard to see things at night and enjoy the nighttime gameplay. So obviously, not going to try to like say, hey WUSHU, what are you going to do about problems we created? But we don't necessarily. I mean, I'm not going to put that on WUSHU just to answer that. Just like that's a good point that our night is very dark.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you all have any particular plans on that, and even if you did, you probably couldn't tell us about them. But we have multiple times tried to make improvements. There's some maps that have had a very sort of a big improvement to how bright the night is. I think Meager Valley is probably the one that is the least improved, and so if you want to have a brighter night, don't go to Meager Valley. That is an incredibly dark place. But a few of the other maps are a little brighter than they used to be, and I'm hoping that at least it is a little bit of an improvement. But
Just as a plug for my favorite map, Drucker County has a nice big full moon at night.
Honestly, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful moon.
yeah, so there you go. Ariadne, we totally recognize that is an issue, and honestly, like that feedback is also something that we're taking into the future of the franchise. We're working on other stuff right now, and we're very aware of the fact that this is one of the biggest complaints from the audience about the way that our maps work was that just the nights are incredibly dark, and it was an intentional creative choice to make night as dark as possible, but it's one that we are capable of rethinking. So stay tuned. We'll see how things go in the future.
Yeah, I was gonna say like really quickly. I mean, like we do have people at WUSHU as well who are like we're very closely monitoring and like listening to things like this, and it's one of those things that does come up, and we create suggestions and talks about that we're aware of it at least anyway, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
hopefully
while
can
while
some of
Jeffrey
this
and I
stuff.
aren't necessarily like directly attached all the time to State of Decay 2 anymore, there are still people here in Seattle who meet with you folks over at WUSHU on a regular basis. The wonders of teleconferencing and all of that fun stuff. And so, when I say you, I mean y'all out there, players.
Yeah.
You submit stuff to us still, and that still gets fed over there. So like when Rohan or any of our other customer advocate folks get reports, or they see things on the wish list, that gets reported to WUSHU straight away. And so we still have a direct line, even though Jeffrey and I have both kind of moved on to other stuff.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I suddenly started hesitating about asking you that question because I don't know what you're working on, and so therefore I didn't know if I was just dropping some curveball in your lap or if I was asking something that was perfectly appropriate. So Ian, thank you for jumping in and giving us the angle on it. Actually, one thing I noticed in our Slack thread, John Hollingworth just popped in and he pointed out that they not only are you guys aware of the looting bug, you've actually got a fix for it. The question is just when you're going to be able to deliver it. So
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, sorry, I didn't even want to give anything away there, just in case. I was like, hey, yeah, we
John,
know. about
John
this.
said
Touch
that
the
to us, so I assumed it was okay.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, there you go.
but no particular promises on when a fix could land because there's a lot of factors that go into when updates can happen. So, all right. So okay, so one thing we should talk about is the black heart. While Joe is here dealing with some deadly threats, we should talk about one of the deadliest threats in the game, which is the black heart itself. There was a bunch of changes that went into it in update 36, and I've never even gotten a black heart in any of my games, and so I think I got one once, but I was too scared and I ran away, and then I think I don't know. So I'm not an expert, but Steve, I believe that you could probably walk us through what was going on with Blackheart before. Why did you make changes, and what kinds of changes did you make?
Well, Blackhearts were, we got a lot of feedbacks that were saying that Blackhearts were a bit too dominating, especially when you start your playthrough, and the very first combo you get could be a Blackheart, and it kind of felt a bit too dominating sometimes, and some of the players kind of felt like, okay, it's kind of ruining their play styles. So we decided to tweak some parts of it. So now, let's see, instead of it now waiting for 2 days before it starts, it now has 6 days before you could actually get a Blackheart. So that it kind of gives the players more time to kind of prepare and get used to it. And then we also just nerfed some of the effects down and some of the damage that it does, because some of it kind of felt too punishing for players. And we didn't really want to punish the players. We kind of wanted the players to take a challenge at it and go ahead and defeat this Blackheart by themselves. But we decided to nerf it. But I also know that I got some feedback saying that we should have left it for lethal mode at the very least. But I will say I have some more comments for that later on. So stay tuned, I guess. But yeah, the original decision for that was just to tune it down a little bit for the default values for the next stage of implementations that we're going to be given.
So Urias Alpha in the chat says, I am loving the black hearts. Can we have them infect other hearts and turn them black too? Or wake things up? I do love a little extra chaos in the apocalypse, which sounds like that's coming in from the sort of lethal zone player, just desperate for something to make the game harder kind of direction. What do you think about that kind of thing?
I mean, that is a lot of things that we've actually discussed, because we will have our meetings that we just talk about various things that we can do. And if this is an approach we could take, well, I can't exactly say our final thoughts, because that's going to be later on.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'd never say we have a lot of solutions, and we're trying to think about what is the best approach we can actually take with this stuff.
That makes sense. Yeah, and I definitely don't want to railroad you into trying to answer questions you can't answer. But there's a lot of enthusiasm for the Black Heart in the chat though. Crush and Stuff Banana was like, can we have a mode where all the Plague Hearts are Black Hearts? And I think
Good Lord, why?
Might have been more too.
No. The question is, why not?
Exactly.
Just saying.
All right, fine.
So just going down the list here. So one of the items on the list is better completion counter on curveballs with objectives, like Under the Weather, missing a few bolts. It'll now read 0 out of 3 deposits instead of 0 out of 1 3 times. Okay, so is this just a restructuring of how the objectives are expressed?
Yes, because previously it was saying 0 out of 1 3 times. Like each time you do put in a rucksack in, it will say 0 out of 1 again and again and again. And it kind of felt it was very misleading. So this time we just kind of corrected it to just say 0 out of 3. Just so our players are more aware that yes, they need to deposit 3 rucksacks rather than 1. So yeah, that was just a nice fix to it.
So it was a series of 0 out of 1 objectives. I don't think I've gotten that particular curveball. So you think you only have to do one thing, and you actually have to do 3 things, and I could totally. That is a big improvement. That's cool.
Yeah, that was one of them things that we kind of locked ourselves into early on, like, and realized, oh, we need to make considerations around this, but yeah, we got locked into a certain way of setting this up, but now that's been resolved. Like, fine. Yeah, it's really nice to have that resolved.
Hey, Joe, how close are you to one of your upgraded outposts so that we can do the rucksack thing?
Oh, I've been doing the rucksack thing.
Did I just not notice because we were having other conversations?
Yeah.
Oh, you got to interrupt me, man. I got to call attention to it. Do you have any rucksacks left?
Now I'm about to go get another one.
All right. Yeah. Next time.
What I'm doing right now in terms of gameplay is kind of showing off like how you can clear out an entire neighborhood as long as you have an upgraded outpost in it, without having to ever return home.
Oh, gotcha. So you're just basically trying to vacuum up everything you can find in the area.
Yeah.
Okay, so one other thing on the patch notes while you're doing that I can bring up is there's a couple little changes that I got to sneak in. Even though I'm not officially on the project, occasionally WUSHU tolerates me checking something in. So I checked in a few names from people, like fans of the game, people who like get on my personal channel and ask to put their name in the game. A bunch of those got included in Update 36. A couple that have been stored up for a while. So if I have promised you that your name was in the game, Update 36 is probably where it landed. So if I did it fairly recently, so there you go. Also, you remember a while back, I think it was sometime last year, we did a live stream here. Might have even been earlier. Man, time is weird. A long time ago, I did a live stream where I created and edited traits on the air. And one of the big changes that I made during that episode was taking the Blood Plague Survivor trait, which is one of the most common traits because it makes people effectively immune to the Blood Plague. I took that trait, and originally it only could be given to characters of 2 particular leader types. And so I just basically extended it so that it could go to all 4 leader types. And then the way that I made some of my edits and checked them in, I actually broke some stuff, and I had to back my changes out, so I didn't break all of WUSHU's things. And so it took a while for me to actually come back in and then remake those changes, but now I have, and now that has gone into Update 36. So you should, when you're rolling random survivors, you should see Blood Plague Survivor show up about twice as often. It's already extremely rare, and so twice as often is still extremely rare. I don't expect you to suddenly, find it all the time, but it is roughly twice as common now as it was before. So enjoy. And aside from the rucksacks,
Out of curiosity,
yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was going to ask Jeff. Out of curiosity, how is it that you decide on the names that are going into the game from fans?
Oh, well,
or is it just a random pick, or? It's
not a random pick. So it's. I mean, I was trying to. I always feel weird when I'm hyping my personal Twitch channel on this channel, but basically, I've got it set up on my personal Twitch where if you watch a lot of my shows and you build up channel points, there's some number of tens of thousands of points you can submit to get your name added to State of Decay 2.
Oh, nice.
Because I periodically, just regardless of whether any fans have submitted names, regardless, I just I go in all the time and I'll just add like a pile of nicknames because I feel like it, just because it's an easy thing to do in the game, and it just adds a little bit for people who've been playing this game for 5 years. They've seen all of the names after a while, and so I like throwing in some stuff that will occasionally surprise even the players who've been playing the game for a really long time. So
if you just wanted to be friends with Cogs, he'll pay for it because he watches
everything.
Every
Cogs242, who's in our chat right now, he's got so many channel points on my channel that sometimes people will just show up and mention that they would like to get their name in the game, and Cogs will just cash in. We'll just cash in a bunch of channel points and get it for them. So I don't want to suddenly put a bunch of obligations on Cogs, but there you go.
His DMs are going wild.
Yeah,
literally.
Exactly. But anyway, yeah. So since I'm adding names to the game anyway, I figure why not take requests? And so so that's kind of how that works. So I mean, if you really want to look at my personal channel, I usually have a link in the doobly-doo of the YouTube videos when these come out. So you can go there if you want to, but also I feel weird about doing that, so I'm gonna stop talking about it now.
It's all good.
This is not an avenue of self-promotion for me. This is an avenue of promotion of our beautiful, lovely game and our colleagues over at WUSHU Studios. So.
Yeah, this is about State of Decay 2, but we do play a lot of that.
Okay, so
a lot of that.
you have got a rucksack now. So let us know when you're about to get to an outpost so we can show off the awesomeness.
I've done it twice.
You've not.
I need to stop.
Okay, just like,
Okay.
should we just? I'm just gonna stare at you, Joe, until you've done it
we're
again.
just
like
walking back to the thing now. Walking back to the thing.
This
See,
is
I've
like,
got.
I get
Actually, we've done it 1, 2, 3 times now, and this neighborhood was already almost completely empty. So this is the last one.
Okay, cool. Well, the perfect timing then. So we
And also the big beautiful moon in Drucker. Look at this. Look at this.
that
Oh,
is
hell
So
yeah.
good.
It is
So
still
good.
real dark. I've actually started.
Well, this is the beginning of night, Jeffrey.
I've actually started on my my own YouTube videos. If I play at night, I actually just up the brightness and the contrast across the board.
Yeah.
But then I have to. Of course, that turns me into this like glowing angel, like in my face on the screen. And so then I have to tamp that down, and I've made the editing really complicated for myself. So. Peroxicus, jokingly, wants to know when we're getting a Liverpool-based map in State of
I
Decay.
literally just read that as you said that, yeah. Oh, that'd be
I mean-
amazing. I'd love that.
That would sound fantastic, you know.
When's the Seattle map? Like, I don't know.
I mean, these are all sort of outskirt, these are all kind of Washington maps. I mean, these maps are largely inspired by rural Washington, so they're not really Seattle maps. I mean, dense, urban settings have always been kind of a challenge for the style of gameplay that we're doing. It's a lot harder, and so we've been avoiding that sort of thing. However, I mean, there are some great representations of Seattle in like other open world games, other zombie games. The Last of Us 2 has got some. I almost was able to trace my commute to work in The Last of Us 2, which was amazing.
Oh, that's so cool, yeah.
All right, are we ready? We ready?
Okay, check this out. Look at what Joe's gonna do.
Okay.
He's got a rucksack, but
Got
he's
a
not at
rucksack
home.
on my back even, but I'm not at home.
There's 3 options on this menu. What?
So we're gonna open the outpost. We're gonna no. Okay, we're gonna open the outpost and go in this. No, deposit rucksack. Oh no, I have too many of those things. Am I sure that I want to? Yes.
And look at that. His rucksack
Yes!
is gone. He's just
Amazing.
in an outpost, and now he.
I'm
is doing
cleaning
other
the
stuff.
toilets.
So another thing I would love to see is, let's say you want a new attachment on your gun, but you don't have. Let's pretend that you don't have a pile of like 1,000 of every type of attachment, and
What are we making?
let's go see if you can strip an attachment off a gun that's in your supply locker, since you're at a supply locker anyway.
Oh, this is gonna destroy all of my OCD.
I know.
Okay.
I'm making your life worse, Joe. Like
Okay.
Collection.
it's my mission in life.
Okay.
So look at that. He's got an advanced suppressor on that sucker.
And then right down there in the bits down below on the bottom of the screen.
It says RT detach
Detach
mod. Now
mod.
you don't have to actually do it if you really would rather keep all of your mods where they. But you did it. Okay,
It's done it.
So now it's gone into the supply. It didn't go into your inventory. It went into the supply locker. But now you've got a free-floating suppressor or whatever you had on that gun in the supply locker. Of course, you probably again already had 900 of them. So I'm doubting
Somewhere.
you would notice.
But those stack now, so I would notice.
Oh, that's true. Oh yeah, I forgot. Did I forget? Did they used to not stack?
They used to not stack.
What was wrong with us? Why did we ever have it that way? That's crazy.
Because you never expected people to do what I have done.
Which is collect 100 of every gun in the game.
Right.
What did you have?
Here's
on
the
that
problem,
gun?
Joe.
Honestly.
I don't have
So
a problem.
you still have to have it equipped in order to attach a suppressor to it. Oh no, I guess you don't. You actually you
Nope,
could
you
have done
don't.
it in the inventory, huh? Yeah, never mind. I forgot. That was an update we made a while ago. Totally forgot that existed.
And there you go.
I love how long that took to scroll to the end of that list. That was insane.
Honestly, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, the whole point of it was like I wanted to be able to collect everything, and
Yeah.
I feel like in a survival game when I don't know. Have we talked about most of the patch notes?
I think so. Yeah. Feel free to start. We've got there's
So
a few
like
minor bug fixes.
one of
we
the
haven't talked
things
about,
that I
but-
think is really important in a game, especially in the modern gaming context where you have like streamers who like to do things. and show off for their community and be like, yeah, I know all the answers and yada yada yada, and look at all this cool stuff that I collected, or look at this really exclusive thing that you only get after 5,000 hours of playing, is peacocking. It's super important.
Right, yeah.
It's super important in any game that you do. Like, people will pay good money just to be able to say like, oh, look at these beautiful golden wings that nobody else can get, and they're like, well, but I didn't want to pay the $10. But then there are also other types of peacocking where you've kind of like attached it to like what the player has actually done in the game. We do a little bit of that with our bounty system, but a lot of it is just done with like, I've looted this stuff 10,000 times, and finally one of those times I found a MGL 32, and it's, oh, look at this beautiful thing, and I'm going to go out and blow it up, blow up a bunch of stuff with it. And so, for me, it's more like I want to be able to showcase weapons whenever necessary. And so, like, if somebody wants to see an M203 standalone or the Echo S5 gas launcher, I know that I've got that in my supply locker. Or if they want to see, the R12 import versus the trusty R12 versus the DevGru X12, which is just an R12 that has a much higher capacity and is fully auto, those kinds of things. Just all the different variations of the guns, and making sure that like I can showcase what State of Decay 2 can really do, in terms of like end game content. And so,
yeah, it's one of them aspects, isn't it, from like MMOs back in the day when you'd see someone walk past with some mount that you've never seen before, and it's like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
But you've got it all. You're
yeah,
prepared.
the golden Drake when Wrath of the Lich King was alive. I remember.
I was gonna say Ashbringer, but yeah, and that.
No, the way old. I'm way old. It's fine. But no, it was so good. All of those collectibles, right? And so the more collectibles you have in the game, the more people will want to show off the really special stuff they've got, or they want to. And I think that's one of the things we've kind of missed out on. I was kind of joking before the show. Is like, well, if I just had a collection screen, I wouldn't need this many guns in my supply locker. But that's also true. Like, if I had just a collection screen, where I could just go and be like, I want this one again. I want that one back. As opposed to like, I've got 300 guns in my supply locker.
Yeah, and it's tough because, like, on one hand, we build the mechanics around what we expect to be the sort of early players to want, which is a survival game where it's like each item is real, it can be lost, it can be destroyed, that sort of thing. But once you like have been playing for a certain amount of time with a particular community, you've built them up so much that they've just got infinite everything. That importance of each individual item being its own thing and being destructible and losable, and it starts to matter a lot less because you've got so much of it. And that's when I think something like a collection screen where you can just have access to everything you've ever gotten starts to feel much more reasonable, right? But so it's a complicated thing trying to like solve problems like that for multiple players.
Yeah, and it's not it's not like it's an easy fix, right? And you have to make choices when you're scoping a game so that you can actually ship. And so, that's certainly low on the priority scale when it comes to like things that need to happen at launch versus like, maybe this is something we could add in update 49,
Right.
You never know.
So,
I tried to pick a big enough number where I wasn't being like, okay,
Yeah.
this is when you're doing it.
confirmed. So speaking of updates, though, speaking of future updates, so update 36 is not actually the only update we're here to talk about. There's also going to be an update to the PTR coming down the pipe. So, Ian, do you want to kick us off? Tell us a little bit about what you got planned.
Yeah, so I think we're planning on it. So far, so good at least. But we're hoping to launch the PTR next week, and there's a bunch of changes and reworks around that are going to be coming in there. Particularly, something that myself and a few others at WUSHU have been working on is a rework and like readjustment and rescaling to how zombies spawn in the world. So there's plenty of things that we're going to be changing in regards to this. So obviously, like, you know, the decisions and where and when a zombie is spawned and the rules behind that, and like the algorithms, everything that decides like this is an appropriate place to spawn a zombie. We've made like drastic changes to some of that stuff, so it's going to feel a bit more. While we respect the limitations of the hardware and everything like that, it's going to feel, or we hope that it'll feel, like there are more zombies in the world. There might be a few more as well. Like there's a whole bunch of changes around this, and it's gonna be an ongoing thing for some time. Like not too long, obviously, but such a fundamental system like the zombie spawning of the game, it's like so foundational to the experience. We just want to make sure that we are preserving the expectations that have already been set, whilst also, you know, continuing to improve the experience from these changes. So yeah,
So
we should be expecting that.
So
Sorry?
if a player goes into the PTR, which by the way I should have mentioned in case someone doesn't know, the PTR is the public test realm. It's our sort of branch of the game you can get on Steam where you can try out stuff that is not officially in the game yet, stuff that the devs are trying out. If somebody who's going to go in there and play it, like I'm curious, like what kind of mindset do you want them to have going in? Or is there a certain way you want them to think, a certain way you want them to explore the game that would generate the kind of feedback that you're looking for?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously it's always nice to hear like a comparison from your usual experience, like just so we know, like, okay, we know that this is kind of hitting the same notes of like what they would expect, but whilst we've still got our changes and differences in there. So yeah, it's like it's almost like we're asking for, did everything feel fairer? Like we've done a lot of work as well around like making sure that zombies don't spawn where you wouldn't expect them, and you know, when you kill a zombie, it should feel like there's one less zombie in the world, so it has like an impact on like the local population where you're killing them zombies. So expectations around that, like you know, you leave this area after going on the biggest zombie rampage that you could. You come back 5 minutes later, is it kind of still at that reduced, you know, population that you left it in? Maybe it's like starting to slowly ramp back up, like as zombies are moving back in. Yeah, just it's gonna be a lot around. Does this fit within the simulation that you would expect? Does this do these changes feel like it's improved your experience?
Are there any other like sort of negative experiences that you've been trying to sort of fix and avoid that you want players to keep an eye out for? You already mentioned zombies appearing in places where it feels unreasonable that a zombie would have been. You've talked about, you know, like I feel like I've cleaned out this area, but now there's just zombies there like I never did anything. Those are two things you're trying to solve. Are there any other like bad player experiences that you're trying to improve on?
Yeah, so there's a few again. So one of the main things as well is you know, when a player crash searches and it's like, again, they've just like been on a little rampage, they've killed everything, and you perform a crash search, which is when you know you're fast searching through a container and then a noise is like kind of emitted from like clumsy hands. There was a like common consensus that it was like it felt cheap that we were kind of just spawning a zombie in anyway and like sending it to the player's location. So we're now kind of having more of a reliance on the simulation and like what is there in the world. And then again, more things around like when a screamer gets its scream off, and you know, again, we're relying more on like the ambience zombies that are already there in the world. And then potentially like at some point we're going to look at like fielding out that call and actually like draining the population or like the density of zombies within the area that weren't, you know, within sight or active in the world at the time. So yeah, I think there's going to be so much around some of this. There's going to be more. I will check my notes just to make sure. Because there's so much around this.
One negative experience that I know people have had sometimes is just the feeling of there's literally nowhere that doesn't have at least one zombie in it. So it's like players are trying to drive away from a bad situation, but everywhere they go, there's just more zombies, and there's nowhere where they can stop and get a breather. Is there been any thought put into like, you know, spikier spawning where it's like there's lots of intense zombies here, but a lot fewer over here? I'm throwing that at you out of the blue, and so it's totally cool if you don't have an answer.
No, yeah, there's that. Yeah, that is one of the things that we've been making more considerations of. I think there was already like efforts around that from the previous spawning changes, but our plan for that is like we're building on this and make sure it's more noticeable. Again, just to meet the player expectation and like make the world feel a bit, you know, the distribution of the zombies like should feel like it's dangerous going into a town because it's like this is where everyone lived, like this is the main hub of the map, compared to, you know, a ranch in the middle of like the countryside kind of thing. So yeah, there's definitely like considerations around that we're hoping to make feel a bit more noticeable for players.
So okay. So aside from the spawning changes, what else is going in there?
Well,
PTR.
apart from the zombie spawning stuff, the next thing that we'll be going inside the PTR is the Cobal's improvement. So I guess this is where I ramble off like 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, please go.
But yeah, okay. So ever since we released Coballs, we got a lot of feedback from the players, and we decided to dedicate some time to improve the Cobalt system. The first thing was the previous Cobalt settings. It kind of felt like it was hidden away, like inside the gameplay settings. This has now been moved over to the Cobalt journal to make it more accessible to the players. And when you open up the Cobalt settings, the first thing that players would notice is that they're not automatically opted into Cobalts, but they can enable it themselves. So that because we want to get the idea that we want players to opt into Cobalts and challenge themselves rather than the challenge coming to them and they have no way out type of situation. But for those players who opt into Cobalts, we've gone with an approach to give players more control with how they want their community Cobalts to behave. Basically making Cobalts customizable to the player. We've implemented 4 different sliders. I remember reading a post about a slider, like a player wanted a slider to determine the Cobalts settings. And I can say, yes, we've answered your prayers and we've given you 4 sliders instead of 1 slider now, so you're welcome. The first slider you would see would be the frequency slider. This will kind of detect how fast you want your Cobalts occurring. So as you can have 3 Cobalts active at a time, you can choose if you want your Cobalts to be more spaced out so that you can have more freedom to do other stuff, or if you basically want all 3 active Cobalts at all times, which is gonna be fantastic. The
That's
second
kinda like-
one,
We're all getting a little
Go ahead.
distracted by the fact that ferals are trying to murder Joe.
yeah.
But please
You got
please
this.
like, this just makes the video more fun to watch.
You got it.
It's like there was a question earlier about ways to make it more difficult for yourself. So yeah, some of this as
Yeah.
well will help you do that for the lethal players out there.
Yeah, and the second slider that will be available to the players in the PTR will be the balance slider. This will determine what type of Cobalts you want active in your community. So this can range from only having positive Cobalts to a mix of both, which is already by default, to only negative Cobalts. So those players who dislike having positive Cobalts in their lethal runs, we hear you. So yeah, this will make it a lot harder and a lot easier depending as to what settings you actually choose. And the last 2 sliders will be the positive. Oh,
I think I
Oh,
broke
no.
it.
oh no. Crash.
Too many zombies.
Well, hey,
minutes
let's just keep talking to Steve.
Okay, let's keep on rambling on. It's
No
all
more
good.
distractions.
So yeah, the last 2 sliders that players will have access to will be the positive and the negative sliders, impact sliders. And adjusting these sliders will increase the duration, the radius, and the effects of the Cobalts. So for example, for the positive slider, you could have the Cobalt soft skins. And if you get the vulnerability to melee hits, I believe, yeah, which makes them easier to kill, and you have more chances to knock them down. If you adjust the positive slider, it will increase their vulnerability, making them much easier to kill. So this can be really helpful for those players who want to try lethal runs and want to have the positive sliders, and they just want to have like an easier time with lethal. Then yeah, that's for you.
So
And
that's not just raising the probability of good curveballs happening. It's also raising the intensity of the good curveballs.
yes, it also raises the intensity of the good curveballs, but that's if the player wants just the good curveballs. They can also have it just be just the negative curveballs, where it increases the intensity of the negative curveballs. So I feel whenever I talk about the negative curveballs, I have to talk about the king of the negative curveballs, which is always the black heart. Because I mean, you've not experienced it yet, so you don't know the pain. But
I only know the
a lot of
intimidation.
players. Well, yeah, a lot of players have experienced, the black heart, and I also remember seeing a post saying that we should have left the nerf for black heart for like dread at the very least, and we should have left it for lethal run and maybe nightmare, and then we can now say that you can adjust that negative slider by yourselves. So if you feel you want to have a major outburst of black heart going in on you, where the effects are increased, you're going to be taking more damage, and killing it is going to be intensely hard or harder. So that is all down to the player. And of course, all of this will be available in the PTR, and the values of the effects are not going to be finalized. We will adjust the values based on the player's feedback. So that's why we kind of wanted to encourage the players to test out the PTR server, which will be coming out at some point next week, I believe. I don't have the proper dates on me. And give us your feedback. We'll listen to you, and we will adjust everything before we do send it out live.
So keep an eye out for our follow us on social media. We will definitely announce when there is a new build of the PTR available. So anybody who has the game on Steam and wants to download, wants to basically switch to that branch and play in there, you can try out this stuff and give feedback before it goes out to everybody else. You can be part of the solution, which can be a lot of fun. Telly Castanopoulos wants to know to clarify, for new players, a brand new player comes into the game, they don't even know what curveballs are. What is their experience with curveballs in the version that you got in the PTR?
With the version that we have in the PTR, the players will be opted out of curveballs because we didn't really like the idea of having players, getting a blackout straight away, and it's like, whoa, what's happening? So, it kind of felt too punishing to just let players be opt in without them actually wanting to. So we've kind of changed that now, that players can choose to opt in, but they will be automatically opted out of it unless if they want to.
Awesome.
That's another thing as well. There will be a default experience for those who don't want to customize anything around curveballs. These sliders are just going to be if you want a bit more or change the experience ever so slightly,
intense.
it's completely optional. Yeah.
Well, we are starting to get towards the end of our time. There was one question that was asked very early on by Aaron Walsh, and I just wanted this is a little bit more of a frivolous question, but it says, do you listen to music while playing this game? And also, you can answer if you listen to music while developing this game, or are you too careful to listen to anything distracting while you're being hunted?
I was listening to music until a pack of ferals kind of humbled me. So, now every time I'm on edge, I have to hear the sound, or else I know something bad might happen.
I've got games where I can listen to podcasts or something while I'm playing, but they're games where I feel, I've got a lot to lose. When I'm playing Project Zomboid, I have to turn everything off because the slightest distraction is I'm going to lose just hours and hours and hours of play.
Yes.
What kind of music did you listen to before you were intimidated out of it, Steve?
Oh, well, I'm more of an EDM guy, so, I was jamming to myself, always vibing. And then I just had, a pack of ferals just come towards me, and I was like, oh, okay, it's just one. Oh, no, it's another one. Oh, no, it's a third one. Oh, okay. This is not how I want this to happen. So, ever since then, I was like, never again.
Ian, what about you? What do you listen to?
I mean, typically for me, when I'm playing a game, I don't tend to listen to anything else other than the game's audio because I just get, I like to just be so immersed and know that outworld distractions. But to reply that to when I'm working, I have a song that I like to listen to on repeat as loud as possible. When it's you're in that mode where it's you just need to get everything done. Things need to get done by this time, right? And you're in an urgency. And that is that song is Kickstart My Heart by the Motley Crue. I don't know what it is about it, but I just
It's the
put it on repeat.
motorcycle sounds, Ian.
It is. It's the urgency to go. It is.
Yes.
I love it.
I have loved that song ever since Gran Turismo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I discovered it as well.
I believe it was 2, but I can't say for certain.
It is funny how
Yeah.
much of an influence video games have on sort of musical culture and people's musical repertoires. Like I don't like my kids, for instance, they know this smattering of 70s rock anthems, even though they were all born in the 2000s. But the reason is they played Rock Band as children. And there was this particular set of like 70s and 80s rock songs that were just really popular on Rock Band, and so my kids learned those and nothing else from the decade. As you can, but they have those in common with their friends because their friends also played Rock Band when they were little, and so it's like Rock Band kind of determined like what the new generation of listeners, what they think of as being the music of the 70s and 80s. It was Rock Band that decided what they think of that, which is just fascinating. I mean, it's great. It's a curated list. They think that our music was way cooler from our childhood than it actually was, because they only hear the good stuff.
No. It was really cool.
Some of it definitely was. So to answer the question myself, we have an open office here, and so there's sometimes when you need to sort of just shut out all the distractions, and so I usually have to listen to something that like sort of fills all of the audio channels in my brain, but without distracting me with things like lyrics. Because if I'm listening to lyrics, I can't write anything. And so if I'm having to focus on writing and I'm in a space that's very distracting, I usually put on some Carpenter Brute, because it's like this, just driving heavy electronic thing, but no lyrics, and it's like noise, but in a good way. It's like white noise turned up to 11. I think it's sort of what it is for me. So there's the answer to your question, Aaron Walsh. I think he's been waiting like 50 minutes for us to answer that. So I hope he's still in the chat.
Well, and I also think that it often depends on the mood that I'm in. Like there are a lot of times where it's like it's a Britney Spears, Taylor Swift kind of day. Because you just need to get things done, but you don't want to be all angry about it. You just want to get stuff done.
So Aaron Walsh was in the chat, so he did get to hear the answer to his question. And there's another, actually, so Airy Twitch has also been asking a question that I want to make sure we get to before we wrap up, which is there any way to know how long a curveball is going to last? Because Airy Twitch sometimes really wants to take advantage of a curveball, of an interesting curveball, but isn't sure how much time she has before that curveball is going to go away. Is there any way to know, or is that something that isn't really possible for players?
Currently, there isn't a way for players to know the time, the duration for certain curveballs. But we do have a system that could implement it, so it definitely can be something that can be done for players.
So maybe take that as a suggestion, as something in the suggestion box, and see if.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And similarly, like one of our most classic suggestions, Comsbolt raised it, was just being able to know time of day. Because right now, obviously, it's been night for most of this episode. It's very, very dark. I mean, even though we're in Drucker, which is one of the brighter maps at night, it's still very, very dark. And having a sense of how long that darkness is going to last is something that would be great. And honestly, like we've been giving positive feedback to that message for a long time without ever actually doing it. So I'm also not going to obligate you to do it because we spent 4 years not doing it. But I wanted to bring up, because the audience brings it up all the time, how much they would love to have some kind of clock, something just saying, please let us know when the sun will rise. We're dying here in this pit of hell that you put us into.
But Jeffrey,
that's
at
one
the
of them things I
stars.
think.
Go ahead. Let's
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's one of them things that I think has come up in the past. We've had like discussions and talks about what to tackle potentially for like quality of life improvements, like what this whole update was about.
Okay.
But yeah, like based on that, it's something that we could again just like take a relook at some point and just we've got time for this now, I guess.
I
agree. It would be nice.
Trying to figure out what you have time to do, right? Because because all of the things that we want to do, and this is the problem, the thing that kept us from doing it for years, is just we always had 100 things that we wanted to do, and we could only ship like 5 at a time. And so everything is a trade-off, and so when we're looking at, there's so many good ideas, and some of them just by pure luck just ended up never thematically lining up with something we were doing, or just we never had the resources in the right place because they were always needed for something else. And it's not like we were doing nothing. We were doing other things with those resources that mattered, But just it can be tough because there's just so many things that. Did I just see a zombie walk off without its head?
Yeah, it's the headless zombie curveball.
Oh,
Yep.
sweet. This is gonna be a good thing to end on. A nice weirdo curveball.
It's gonna die now. I love that curveball.
I mean, it's just so funny.
Yeah.
I mean, chickens and whatnot.
Well, we might need to leave Joe on a cliffhanger about whether he's going to survive being Ichabod Crane over here, because we're going to have to wrap this up. So, Ian, thank you so much for coming here, being our guest, filling everybody in. Any last words you want to leave for the audience, Steve?
Oh gosh, the pressure is on. Well, I'd ever say keep on giving us some feedbacks because we're going to be working on a lot of stuff, and we do listen to everything that you guys do say. So, yes, please keep on giving us the feedbacks, and we will try our best to implement as much as possible to keep State of Decay 2 alive. So, yes, thank you.
And Ian, anything to say?
Pretty much the same, really, and just thank you so much for all the positive messages, and it's really affecting the team. Everyone really loves it. It's so heartwarming, and it's always great to see your work be appreciated. So thank you. And yeah, for the PTR that we're planning soon, just we'll be more active in the Discord, and it would just be really great to get some conversations and feedback focused around that. So helpful.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for coming on. Joe, I assume your character did in fact survive after we cut away.
Oh yeah, of course.
All right. You want to say goodbye to the audience before we get out of here?
I do. I just want to say thanks everybody for being here. Those of you across the pond, thank you for continuing your work on this game that we all love. We show up occasionally, but y'all are out there doing the really good work that's left on State of Decay 2. So, thank you for making this even more possible for us to be able to, have a little credit for what you're doing. But also, to the folks out there who keep us all going. Thank you to the fans. And don't forget that it's time for the Plunder Pack.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, so if you're watching this later on YouTube, go down to the doobly-doo, check out our links to social media. If you follow us there, you will find out when the new PTR update comes in. You can participate in the next round of improvements for the game, so please go and get involved in that if you play the game on Steam. That'll be good. Joe is right. There is a new bounty pack out, the Plunder Pack. You can go grab your pirate gear. You can grab that purple car that he's been driving around the entire episode. And with that, I think we're going to get out of here. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, WUSHU friends. And thank you, audience. And now we've got...
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now we've got our
Awkward
awkward
20
sign-off, which just gets even more awkward every time.
Yep.
Keep talking, Joe.
If you're watching on YouTube, of course, you can click in some links and make this stop. You can make it end anytime you want to.
Do we
Press
just keep on
spacebar.
whispering? Whisper, 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 whisper.
Don't forget to
Unfortunately,
smash
I've got a
that like and
stopwatch,
subscribe
so
button.
I don't know how long 20 seconds is. I just got to improvise.
Yeah.
That was probably it. Let's just say that was it. Goodbye.